Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of me trying to get comfortable so I can talk to all of you about this new game. I mean, it's not a new game, but it's a new game for me. I'm getting comfortable. Okay. This is the medium. This is the first hour of me playing the medium, and I did not get the volume turned down all the way. Didn't want to turn it down all the way, but I don't want to blow my eardrums out, and I want to be able to hear myself thinking. So do get the volume, just so I can sort of kind of hear it. Maybe still seems really loud. I'll just turn it down on my side. There we go. That's a good idea. This is another horror game surprise. A lot of these are going to be horror games for a long time. I'm going to eventually not horror games. Oh. No, probably not. I think this whole series is going to be horror games. This is a medium, and according to howlongtobeat.com, which is one of my favorite websites, it's about an 8-hour game, and boop. Developed by Bloober Team, and a Polish video game developer based in Krakow. So, nice. Did I already say this is 2021? Did I say that? They also made Observer, which is a great game, Blair Witch, which I've never played, but looked really fun, and a couple of others. Observer was great. A lot of people didn't like it. I think Bloober Team also making the are they yeah, this is the same team doing the Silent Hill remake. People were saying also, I don't know if that's a graphical glitch, but I know those coffee mugs looked really weird. Starts with a really nice cutscene. The first thing about this game, fun fact, is this game is a system killer. You can turn on ray tracing to super duper and listen to your machine freak out. So that's fun. I specifically waited for two things for this game. First of all, I waited for the price to come down. I felt like the price was... It was priced like a AAA title, and I couldn't... Based off of the gameplay, I didn't want to spoil too much. Man, these visuals are beautiful. This is a beautiful game. The graphics are just great. They priced this like a AAA title. I didn't want to spoil it based on other people's videos. But I had read up on it enough, so I felt like the price was a little too high. I felt like they had some defects and some glitchiness, some jankiness they needed to work out. I like giving a game a fair shake, and that usually means giving it a couple months to work out its jankiness. And this one had some kind of weird... I don't know if they decided to change camera angles or what happened, and I was against the camera angle change. I think that's what it was. And I talked to some people about it, and I couldn't wrap my head around if there had been fan backlash or system glitches or something. After playing it, though, I have to say that I think the camera could have only worked this way, and you'll find out why later. Also, I think this game might possibly buck the trend that I've noticed so far. of how where you don't really get to run into the bad guy for 45 minutes until 45 minutes in. Ringo, come on. Oh, yeah, so I'm Chance Paladin. I'm your host and my co-host, Ringo the cat. But he's not. He's being quiet right now. Yeah. Ringo, there's a cat in the game, too. Yes, this is another game with a cat in it. There's that whole meme about, can you pet the dog? And then there's the other one. It's like, I'm just making this up. It's like, can you feed the cat? And what was it? Dread Out had a cat all through the whole game. And this game has a cat, too. If anyone's paying attention between which games were made in Unity and which games were made in Unreal, this one was made in Unreal, and it shows because it is very, very Unreal-y, Unreal-esque. So there's a couple of main gimmicks, and I say that in a positive way. There's a few gimmicks in this game. The first gimmick you'll see in a second, which is Insight, which is kind of like a handy-dandy X-ray vision. I need shit like that because, as you've figured out, I've said this in several games, my immersion level is terrible. And me being able to critically think through these abstract puzzles in somebody else's mind. Oh, I was fighting controller creep a little bit there. That's going to segue into another game that I've been trying to record for everybody, where I'm having some controller creep issues. It's half controller creep, half scroll speed. And this game doesn't have scroll speed controls, and neither does the other game I'm having a problem with. And so I think Dead Zone, scroll speed, and controller creep, you combine those three things together and you've got problems in your game. In Unreal, it's kind of okay if you're just rotating things. Kitty, kitty, kitty. This cat looks like realistic, which is crazy to me. I already can't stop playing this game, by the way. That like almost never happens to me. The only reason I stopped was because I suspect that she has like a finite amount of energy, and I think I accidentally waste this point later in the game. I think I accidentally waste some of my energy and ended up getting myself stuck. Otherwise, I'd still be playing it, but I went way past my 1 hour mark. Usually I play a game through and then I re-record an hour, but so I can showcase some of the cool stuff. But two things. This, like I said, this game eats your video card like it's a yummy, yummy candy bar. And I wanted kind of everyone to experience this game brand new with me. And it's so intuitive. I just had this like really good feeling about it. And so I kept playing and playing and playing because it was so intuitive. But yeah, later, spoiler alert, she ends up getting some powers later, and I run into an issue trying to figure out how much energy she has left before she has to recharge. So kind of a spoiler, but I guess I'm just saying that because I would still be playing it. It's 11:40 at night, and usually games are either glitchy or they're unintuitive enough to where I'm constantly pulled out of it, and so the immersion's broken so often, or dogs are barking so much or whatever, that I can't really like sink into the game. But I was like, okay, there's a cat food dish. I need to find cat food. Okay, there's cat food here. I was able to kind of just intuitively keep going, you know, and here in a little bit there's more kind of little mini kind of tutorial-ish puzzles. None of this really matters. But man, as soon as I saw that cat, I'm like, holy shit, that cat looks real. I was like, wow. But yeah, these are kind of just sort of senseless tutorial-y things to do. Tragedy on rails. 18-year-old student died during a drive test, reading difficulties through reconstruction. Yeah, there's like a... Oh, this is set in 1999, by the way, so there's like Clinton stuff and Berlin Wall stuff. This only shows the main newspaper, though. But see how it says you're in Krakow, Poland? You wouldn't really... You might just think this is like, you know, old-timey America or something, but you really are supposed to be in Poland. So we fly our jet to Poland. So we're in Poland today. This is another little kind of tutorial puzzle. And I thought this was a really neat touch. There's usually like photos. What is it? Sorry, I keep yawning. Was it a Resident Evil 2 remake or whatever you like? There's like a little photo room, but you don't really develop photos, but you actually like develop photos in here. So I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? We're gonna develop a photo? And even though I've never... There's a tick, like a clock that starts ticking right here. You see the little timer right there? And so that's how I was able to kind of time it and figure the time out. So this isn't exactly how you develop a photo, but I've never developed a photo by hand, but I did work in a photo lab for like a year, and you know, they do have to be exposed to each chemical a little bit, and then they dry out. Not like that though, but still, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool touch. So I think it's just kind of introducing you to some of the puzzles you're going to use. Puzzle mechanics. I'm too early in the game really to tell how much impact any of this has on the story. Except for the fact that she's like she was a foster kid, and this was like her foster father, and symbolic funeral of the Caesarea mine. Maybe that mine has something to do with it. I'm not sure. Yeah, even right here, I was thinking about like well, this isn't tank controls, but it's directional, which may as well be tank controls, for the purpose of fixed camera. It's not literally tank controls, but you're still moving inside a fixed camera. So I think fixed camera is the only way this would work. I don't really have a preference between directional with fixed and tank camera with a fixed. I think they're both fine. Tank, though, if you have to actually shoot, unless you're going to put in a lock-on mechanic, you do need tank controls. She doesn't have to shoot. She doesn't get a gun as far as I know. So she doesn't really need tank controls. Just the directional controls are fine. Sorry, I'm getting like more and more tired. We're only 15 minutes in. Come on. I'm just really relaxed. I don't know. It was just really relaxing. If I didn't have that weird hiccup, I'd probably still be playing it. So I guess like some housekeeping while she marches around looking for where she's supposed to go. The sound design's really good. The music's really good. It's raining right now. You'll have to take my word for it. And you could really hear the pitter patters on the ground. Sounded like real rain. I mean, everything about this just seems like it's a AAA title. It was very, very polished. The pacing's really good. There's a couple of like PS... I want to say they were PS3 only games. Was it Beyond Two Souls and was it Heavy Rain? Some of those like very, very unique sorts of games. I would have to go back and play them. But this reminds me... I hit the wrong button there. See how that's rotating around like that? It's not supposed to do that. I have a very, 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 very subtle creep on both of my controllers' sticks. Usually doesn't bug me. Comes into play later. Just for a brief second. And that was the other reason I jumped off. I wanted to go tell those other developers that I finally found another game it happened in. Just like the attention to detail, like that car driving around outside. Makes this feel like a really lived in like AAA title world. I think Beyond Two Souls is the one I'm thinking of where it's like... I don't even know what genre to call it. Really. Like a higher tier, higher quality adventure game almost, but it's deliberately paced. The way your character's walking around and interacting, it's like they're not in a real hurry. Almost like you're existing in a point-and-click adventure. Except you control your character and it's fixed camera and you're in 3D space. Very, very few games really capture this like fixed movement. What's the other one called? Almost Human? Is that the other one? I can't remember. The one with the androids. Becoming Human? That was another one. My friend Kevbo, a long time ago, was playing that. And I was just immediately sucked in. And it was just like this, how you've got your directional movement and your fixed camera and it slowly follows you around. I mean, it's seamless. Like, when it switches camera angles, it's seamless. And if they would have, like... I like the action-y Resident Evils. But if they had redone them like this... Oh, man. With just the seamless, buttery smooth camera angle changes. And then they could have just had a button that plants your feet in place when you need to shoot. That's kind of the alternate that you can do to tank controls. I mean, I stumble and bip and bop into things like a little bit, but it's not bad. Some of you may be asking yourselves why I don't just go back and play Resident Evil 0, 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica. Part of it is some of those haven't been moved to a modern system. The other thing is, with the lack of a map... Oh, I had to find the dang tie. I was confused for a second. So you go find the tie, and then you have to combine the tie and the clip. And very intuitive, though. They haven't. Most of those games, some of them haven't been ported to modern systems, and there's no on-screen map, which means I get horribly lost constantly, and I don't have the time to memorize tons and tons and tons of maps. It would take me forever, and I wouldn't really get any enjoyment out of it because it starts to feel arduous, which we'll get into in a game later on. But no on-screen map, but the unskippable doors and unskippable stairs and stuff. Shit drives me crazy. If they were gonna really redo like 0, 1, 2, 3 Veronica, they really need to rework the door system, or have the doors skippable and have a map. And then and then if they made, these buttery smooth camera transitions, oh man, I could play those all day long. They refuse to do that though. And this game is one of the examples of how it just works so well. And if they wanted to transfer this into a shooting game, just have it where she just plants her feet, and then you can shoot around. Spooky shadow people. So it's 22 minutes, and the spookiness has started. So how long until she actually gets into her major gimmick? Trying to think. It kind of teases it a little bit, but I think it kind of takes a while. I think since this game has got kind of 8 hours to keep you occupied, it draws it out. It's like way more of a slow burn. I'm sorry, Ringo, is that controller bugging you? Hold on. So this kind of teases the main gimmick of the game. And this seems to be a cutscene. I'm sorry, I'm just getting this cord out of the way, buddy. This kind of teases the first gimmick of the game. But I don't think this is a pre-rendered cutscene, but maybe it is. And maybe this is why it doesn't drive the system crazy. I don't think it is though, because later on I think this is all done in engine. Unreal is just so great and seamless with its in-game rendering for cutscenes. So I think this is all in engine, but for some reason this isn't very much of a system hog, but it teases the whole she's living in two worlds at the same time. Well, sort of. I don't actually know what it is, but I suspect that she's actually like split in half, and that's kind of like her. It's not like her twin, but it's another person that's experiencing exactly the same. She's experiencing different things in exactly the same area. except that's kind of like the purgatory where people are stuck. So it's like she's got half of herself stuck in purgatory. She was in a really bad fire, so maybe like half of her died or something and got stuck in purgatory. And she can sort of sense. She can sense what's going on in the other realm. And she's kind of doing. She's enacting the things as she's seeing them through her buddy over there on the right hand side. And I think that's part of the reason why this is such like a crazy system hog, is now all of a sudden the engine's trying to like run two games at exactly the same time. And later what happens is you get actually different buttons for both screens, because that's just kind of the teaser. They don't throw you. They don't throw you all in yet. To say all the things that were left unsaid. And so she's been sending things stuck in purgatory over to the afterlife, and so that's kind of the first teaser of that. And excuse me, I keep yawning. I used to think I saw the world the way I did. And she can send them to the afterlife because she's divided between the two realities somehow. And you end up getting separate controls for her, which really reminded me of, so Resident Evil 0, where you control Billy Cohen and Rebecca Chambers at the same time. Not exactly the same time, you switch between them. In this one you can switch between them or control them at the same time, which wouldn't work in Resident Evil 0 because they're in different places, so you can't control them at the same time. That would have been a great two-player fun thing, though. If they ever redid 0, it would really be fun to be a two-player game. Sheva, Chris, I can't right now. I love Resident Evil 5. So many people hated that game, but man, me and my wife, this is our favorite. Besides Borderlands, maybe Dead Island, like Resident Evil 5. It's just such a fun game. Such a fun game. So she's got a mysterious phone call. A spooky, mysterious phone call. So now she doesn't get to bury her surrogate father, because she's got to rush off and find out what's going on. So that was the teaser, and here we are with the stock photos of what I'm assuming is Poland. Poland, which is probably where I would go if I ever had to leave the US. I don't know if this is stock footage or if what this is, but I was thoroughly entertained, and I was just like, wow. But then it gets kind of weird. I think the implication is that bad things are going on at this is it like a resort? I think that's supposed to be like found footage of a big resort. And they're trying to show that like there was some experiments there, but oh, and there's kind of the another implication of like the whole split. There's a lot of nuance and innuendo and story elements, just like Dread Out, where like if you're not paying attention, you miss like a lot of the story elements that don't make sense. There was a few things in this game that reminded me of Kathy Rain, which is another great pointy clicky kind of horror game, and her riding the motorcycle was like a very Kathy Rain. So I was thinking of going through and doing the pointy clickies at some point, doing them in the same style as this. But I think again one of my long-term projects when we get our own place again is getting kind of like a laptop, a tablet or something, so I can have the walkthroughs next to me, so I can just bust through the pointy clicky games real fast. They start to wear on me sometimes, the pacing. Sometimes they feel like they drag on way too long. I think a pointy clicky game, ideally, maybe like 3.5 or 4 hours. You can tell like a really tight story. Some of the pointy clicky games drag on 6.5, 7.5 hours. To me, that's just way too long to be pointing and clicking around. Trying to, pixel hunt, as it's affectionately known. So, yeah. This is the outside of the resort. They don't do a really good job of letting you zoom in on the map to kind of get your bearings. There's another map inside, and I was like, do I need to pick this up? Does this give me a map? But from what I gather, it's some kind of resort, a resorto. And another one of the things, I think I probably already said this, but yeah, usually you don't run into your bad guy or your gimmick or whatever until 45 minutes in. And this game might be the first one that actually is an hour, because I was trying to pay attention to how long I was playing to see if I was going to run into like the gimmick.
Hello?
Oh, she's trying to find a guy named Thomas, and she thinks that's Thomas. He's walking really slow, and how did he get to the other side when everything's locked, and what was he doing in that car? Lots of questions. Man, this game looks like almost photoreal with the ambient occlusion, and man, oh man. So how did it get in there when this thing's locked? Actually, here you'll find out that everything's locked. So how did he call her and get inside? But climbs her way in because she is not giving up. She is determined to figure out what's going on, because he said that the darkness was going to take over, and if she ever wants to learn the truth, she has to come clean out the darkness. Another sign over here. This is burning out my voice just like when I narrated my books. That's a real bummer. A little better picture of the map, but you can't really zoom in, so this is a big, at least this feels like a big game. I don't know if the entire game takes place inside the building that you end up in, but just even running to it, This is a huge map. And that's pretty exciting. Even though it's really, really, really linear. It's still cool that it's a big map. And there's tons of depth in the scenery. There's not just like a shitty, just like flat matte wall of pixels. Like, I keep looking up there, I'm like, man, it goes forever. World War II memorial there. I was checking out the rosary. I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. I have a rosary of my own. I actually... someone gave it to me in a riot to keep me safe. How about that, huh? And I kept it. I keep quite a few different religious things around, which I know you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to like mix and match your religious things, but something about it feels right to me. This creepy ball, which is never explained, but she picks it up and her hand's empty. And I don't know if that's a graphical glitch or if it's because that ball's not really there or she just thinks she's holding it. But it says LB to activate insight, which is just trying to remind you that you can see spooky stuff. So we're looking at spooky stuff. And I was trying to figure out, like, can I see the spooky stuff and run at the same time? Like, how long did the spooky footprints go for? They kind of disappear and reappear, so you kind of... the camera is so smooth and seamless that I kept forgetting that I wasn't in control of the camera. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do something there or not. T plus K. I'm sure that's supposed to be, Thomas plus somebody else. That's probably supposed to be your first hint that maybe Thomas was a spooky ghost. I kept noticing these things on the trees. I'm guessing those were like just kind of visual cues to remind me. But I had to make sure. So I checked it out, and I'm like, okay, those must just be visual cues. Because you never know. And then I notice another one here, and I'm like, oh yeah, those are just visual cues. Yeah, see, there's another one. I'm like, can you really not click it? Must just be there to guide you. So I follow the spooky footprints. Into the spooky... This is kind of like, she calls it like a fortress. It's kind of like, a huge fortress, like a wall, like a fortress wall. I don't really know how to explain it. But yeah, that's what I'm going with, a fortress wall. So she squeezes in here, and this was my first time where I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all that rebar. If she even sneezed, her head's gonna go right through one of those or something. And I'm like, oh man, get all scraped up. So she has her first little break here. I apologize for the flashing. And here we go. She's officially split. It is 40 minutes in. So this fits right around with that whole 45-minute thing, which is pretty funny. This seems to be the seems to every game so far. So it's rendering all this in real time, and my computer was like, which I have a 6700 XT, I think. So I was coming from, 80, 90 FPS to like a steady 50 FPS. Granted, I have ray tracing turned off. I can't even imagine what ray tracing would do, trying to do like double ray tracing. But this game already looks amazing without ray tracing. So I was trying to figure out what to do here. She says it's dead like everything else. And I'm like, weird, is she like exaggerating or something? I mean, it has no power, but everything looks dead in purgatory. Damn, my throat is killing me. I hate talking just nonstop for this long. It hurts, like son of a bitch. So I wasn't sure what to do here. It said it needed power. I'm like, I don't know. They should have had a little clue here where she's like, I need to go get some power for this thing. They don't really handhold you at all. So you see the little power there. You can see how it's like sparkling on the right side, and it's kind of light on the left side. So, and there's an X on the left and an A on the right. So you're kind of controlling both characters at the same time. And this kind of goes into the whole theme where there's light even in the darkness. And those creepy things on the right hand side, like petrified scary monsters all huddled around that light. I kept grabbing the light over and over again because I wasn't sure if I was trying to fill something up or like, suck it dry. I couldn't figure out. I was waiting for some kind of prompt, but there wasn't one. So I hit X and A at the same time, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I kind of think about it for a second, and I'm like, meh, maybe? No. I'm like, screw it. If I have to backtrack, I'll backtrack. I hate backtracking, though. It kills my immersion, kills any momentum in the game. So if I have to do it, I have to do it, but it starts burning me out really fast, so. See, and then all of a sudden she gets all the way over here, and then she's like, oh, well, it's energy, and energy's energy. It's like, why didn't it just tell me that right away? So she can do her little falcon punch here. And turn the power on. And I'm like, did that actually do anything? And see, I thought for sure I was going to go die on the right-hand side. But here's another piece of the gimmick, functionality, whatever, is that the little squirrely part on the right just means that I'm blocked on the left and I'm not blocked on the right. So it means that she can walk through on the right. She just can't walk through on the left. That's how they visually show you that. So when the right person phased out, and then she kind of merged back into one person, and then here she goes. The rest of the game starts now, and that was kind of the first puzzle sort of diddly-do right at the 45-minute mark. It's pretty funny. Seems to be a running theme. So I'll let it run for like another few minutes so you can see. I was trying to find where the footprints were so I could follow them. So you can see kind of the big building and the big building cutscene. And then I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off. So I'll let it run here for a few more minutes. There's a creepy deer with some kind of necrosis going on. I'm not sure what on earth that's about. When you see the little circle around her, that's her doing her spooky vision. The only thing I don't like about her character design, makes her weird to look at, is the artists didn't give her any thighs. And every once in a while I play a game or I watch an anime or something where the artist does not, and right there you could really tell she's got no thighs. It's very weird. Just makes her character look off a little bit. So here's where you see the split in all of its glory. So that's what she sees in Purgatory, but in normal vision, she just sees this huge hotel. And I don't know if this is like a nod to Germany. Germany had, I can't remember where they built it. They had these massive military hotels on the beach. This big like super hotel. They changed it into an academy or something. I don't know if this is like a riff off that, but anyway, I'm gonna cut it here. She goes and runs to the super hotel and and this kind of explains the phone thing from the beginning a little bit. Maybe it's kind of implying that maybe the ghosts can use phones or something. I don't know. You gotta zoom in on those little splits, and then like these echoes come through. But yeah, this has been Medium, and I've been your host, Chance Paladin, and this is a cool game. I don't know how often I'm going to release these videos, but I'm going to wait on this one until I get feedback. I'm going to get a couple built up. But I've got, like 6, 7, 8 more games in the hopper. So, whenever my voice isn't, whenever I have like a spare quiet 45 minutes, I'll go ahead and do another one of these. And I'll get them in the hopper, and I hope everybody likes them. Maybe I'll start doing one every Monday or something. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments how often you'd like to see one of these. Eventually I'll run out of content, but I've got like 6, 7, 8 more of these planned, at least. So, yeah, I like doing them. And I get to show off my gameplay without the stress of having to deal with more than a few hours of the game. Because usually the first couple hours are solid, and then the rest of the game is a slog. And the whole sunk cost fallacy, you end up feeling like you have to finish a game because you paid for it and you already started it, and the game just turns into more and more of a slog. And the further the developers get into the game, the more poorly designed the game is typically. And this fixes all those problems. So actually it gives me a lot of hope. Oh, I had a whole joke here. She's gonna go find a screwdriver, and then I was gonna be like, hey, it's a good thing I found this screwdriver LTTstore.com, because I've been watching a lot of Linus Tech Tips. But you will just have to pretend that I did that joke, because my voice is running out. So I will bid you all adieu, and that joke would have been really funny if I had just waited, but part of this, I think, has to do with my patience. But the pacing of this game is great. It's very intuitive. It could have used just a teeny tiny bit more polish, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So anyway, leave a comment down below if there's any other. I'm trying to stick to horror games, or at least, either gothic horror, action horror, psychological horror games. I don't know. But if there's any of those, I have a huge backlog that I'm working on. But if there's any more, let me know. And, oh yeah, there you go. Oh, there's a screwdriver. LTTstore.com. Oh well, it's not funny now. I should have just waited. I couldn't remember. Anyway, check out my books and let me know what kind of cadence you'd like to see these. I could probably do one like every 3 days or something. But thank you, and take care, and appreciate you all. And I might record this whole game and upload the whole thing. I don't know. I might record it all, compile it, and then just wait to upload it until we have our own internet. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. We're thinking about getting T-Mobile and then getting infinite internet on T-Mobile, so I can just use that to upload everything. So if that's the case, then I will be able to upload full playthroughs. So if you're interested in that too, let me know. Hey. Alright. I will talk to y'all later, and buy my books, and bye-bye. I usually end on some zinger here, but there's no zinger that happens in the game right now, so you'll just have to pretend. Booga booga booga. Oh, you're fine. I'll wait until she opens the door. How about that? Do 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 do. So began the great dumpster heist of 1999.